and we can make eyelet holes. It's really, really cool. So I'm going to show you how to install it and how to start using it with your projects. All right, so this big old pressure foot is the flower stitch foot. So a few things to point out. This screw right here will adjust this bar, which in turn will adjust how big our flower stitch is. There's a plus sign and a negative sign, so move this towards the plus sign, it's a bigger flower, negative sign is a smaller flower. You'll be able to see that because we're going to install it again from the front so you can see both ways. This goes over our needle holder. This is where the shank will screw, where you screw into the actual machine. And this little thing over here will adjust the position of the flower stitch. So it's a little bit complicated, but you'll be able to see it better when we're actually sewing with it. So to install it, you need to take off the foot you have on, including the shank. Okay. Position the bar over the needle holder and then try to wiggle this guy on. Just like that. And then screw it in. Aha, there we go. So here we're going to install it again from the front, just for those people who not quite sure still how to install it. If you do know how to install it, just fast forward. This bar right here goes on our needle holder. This little cutout right here is going to go on our shank screw. And there's another screw right here. This is to adjust the size of the flower. So with this screw, you're going to have to use like a regular screwdriver to tighten and loosen. So let's go ahead and put it on. Just slide this little guy over the needle holder first, and then trying to maneuver it onto the shank screw. And then once you have it on, you can use your tiny screwdrivers to tighten it. And there we go. Now we're ready to start sewing. So the first thing you want to know before you start using your flower stitch foot is to make sure your feed dogs are dropped, and you want to make sure that we're going to bring the bobbin thread up to the top. So grab your needle thread, pull it down, and pop the bobbin thread up. And just kind of pull it out of the way. Okay, and then we're just going to sew. We're on a regular straight stitch right now. We're just going to sew a couple stitches to lock it in. And then we can select our zigzag pattern. So basically with this, you want to make sure you're picking any kind of form of a zigzag stitch. That's pretty much what you're going to be using to make your flower pattern. So here we go with just a regular zigzag, and it's going to make kind of look like an eyelet. Okay, so don't clip your threads, just pull it out. And we will pull the threads to the back of the fabric, knot it off, and we'll be completely finished. So this is just your basic circle, and now we'll get into a little bit more detailed designs. So now I'm going to show you what kind of shapes we can make when we choose different kinds of zigzag-esque stitches. So like right now I'm picking my blind hem stitch, and you'll see it kind of creates a really neat looking flower as soon as I drop that. Okay. It's going to create a completely different effect. Another thing to remember when you're doing this is to use stabilizer. I have a piece of felt right now, so I don't really need to use stabilizer, but on regular fabrics, use some stabilizer to really keep those stitches secure. And we pull it out, you can see it looks a little bit different. It's kind of cool. So another cool feature of this foot is that we can make our circles larger or smaller depending on what you want to do. So I have this little screw here in the back, and all I'm going to do is twist it, righty tighty, lefty loosey. And if I want the flower to be bigger, I'm going to move this bar right here towards the plus sign. Oops. So it just slides right over. And I'm going to tighten this, and then we can start stitching. This time I have it on a zigzag stick. I think it's called a trico stitch, something like that. And it makes more of a flower pattern. So now I'm going to go and change it to a smaller flower. Keep everything where it is, and it'll be a tiny flower on the inside. So as we're coming to the end of the stitch, I'll take it out and I'll be able to show you how you can have the larger flower and the smaller one on the inside. It's kind of neat. Here we go. I'll pull it out. Oops. So I have this larger one on the outside and the smaller one on the inside. So now I'm going to show you how to do a transposition stitch. We've already went ahead and did our, a simple flower pattern. And what we're going to do is we're going to move these little notches over 3 notches in sets of 3. So you can either move 3, 6, or 9. So we're just going to move it 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to start sewing again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out and show you what it looks like. If you can see, it kind of makes it look like petals, because it kind of comes together and meets just like a petal would. And you can increase your stitch length, increase your stitch width, really have a lot of customization options with this foot. So this time we're going to go ahead and use a twin needle. The cool thing about this is you literally do everything exactly the same. So I'm going to put in my twin needle, I'm going to thread both needles, and I'm just going to sew exactly the same way as I did with a single needle, and all the same techniques, making a larger flower and then a smaller flower and doing the transposition stitch. It's all exactly the same except with a twin needle. All right, so now that we're coming up to the end, I'm going to take it out and I'll show you what it looks like. Creates very neat parallel lines. Very nice. And this is really great for the holiday seasons, decorating with all those embroidery threads and metallic threads. So that was the flower stitch foot. To purchase your flower stitch foot or any of the decorative threads that we use today, visit us online at sewingpartsonline.com or at Facebook.